Hey guys, so this week we continued the existence of God, but from an atheist point of view. Um, Roe basically says that there are some questions that need to be asked first. Is there an argument for atheism? How can the theist defend against that? And the position that the informed atheist may take. So, and I do believe that this is the overarching summary of Roe, or the point. If suffering and evil exist and it leads to good, it would be a justified evil. That would put a hole in the existence of God, attributing back to the original argument. He couldn't possibly be benevolent and those other, like holy good and those other three things, if it still exists. So theists may respond by picking apart the argument, pointing out the good he's done, or in an indirect, roundabout way. The atheist might also say that nobody is rationally justified in the belief of God. I don't necessarily think that that should be a thing, because everybody should have their own beliefs without being criticized for it. They might be indifferent, or some theists may be right. And I think that's more akin to agnosticism, which I personally am. And Roe also says that since nobody can be justified, there's a paradox. And Plantinga does, even though he's confusing, he does cover that. So Roe also says that the theist grounds might be the arguments that we talked about last week. So the ontological, cosmological, and teleological arguments. So I had to write some of these premises down. I hope you understand they were just very hard to follow. I'm sure many of you agree with that. So on to Mackey. He says that theologians can accept criticism, and that existence may be known in some non-rational way. That I fully agree with. That's why I'm agnostic. I realize that there are many things that I don't know and probably am incapable of knowing. So he says that the theological doctrine is inconsistent, and Plantinga, I hope I'm saying that right, Plantinga seems to say it the same way, but he just seems like an instigator. And I have read him before and in his other works, and he just seems like an instigator, but I get what he's trying to do. The solutions for the problem of evil would say something like evil is an illusion, but I think that there needs to be a reference for both. So there is no good without evil. There is no evil without good. There needs to be a reference there. We can't we can't know one without the other. The conclusions would be there might be other solutions that we haven't philosophized about yet, or there is no logical explanation. I think that there is no logical explanation, especially for God. There are many things that we don't know, and that's why we're still talking about it, right? Since God gave free will, existence of evil is possible. Basically, think of it like Adam and Eve, right? Everything was good in the Garden of Eden until the snake came, or the devil, and said, hey, eat that fruit. They had free will to do so. And God didn't like it. So they were attributing themselves or subjecting themselves to evil. And you can't have evil without good. I mean, that's a classic argument. God and the devil, evil, good, right? So I'm going to try to sum up Plantinga, and I had a hard time with this. So he basically rebutted Mackey a lot, saying that there was an inconsistent and contradictory arguments throughout, which I happen to agree with. He mentioned Augustine, and he mentioned Augustine, and basically said God in a perfect universe would allow evil and free will. I think Augustine and this argument right here is a speculation on what evil might be. And I don't think it should be a premise for an argument. Because, and I know philosophy is speculation and everything, but this argument by Augustine seems kind of weak. So why is it, though, that God has to give free will? And that's a very atheistic point of view, but I like to keep my options open. To end, I will say that good and evil are relative to each person, just like with any other beliefs. My past psychology instructor, Mr. Rollinson, many of you know him, said to me that thinking in an agnostic and statistical point of view is very healthy because it allows you to think in terms of statistics and ask why, and not be so single-minded. I do believe that's what he said. But I hope that makes a lot of sense. I think the entire point of this week is to say that good and evil are relative, and we should still ask these questions. I hope that made sense. I know I just sort of stammered this week, but have a good day, guys. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.